Hi, it's Jane with SewScraptastic, and I thought I would tell you a little bit about the way with the video that I did. It was to go up Monday. Did not go up Monday. It's going up today, Tuesday. And basically what I wanted to show you is I had sewn all four sides together in a box like that. And then I had left on the very bottom 1/2 inch unsewn so that I could attach the bottoms of the bags, tops, the inner lining and the bag itself, so that it was a little bit easier to put together that way. So yeah, that is it for that portion. I'm going to insert a picture here of the item, and then you'll see the video. And in the video I talk about fast forwarding. Well, the fast forwarding that I was talking about was not actually showing each step by step of the sewing of the bag, because this was not meant to be a tutorial. It was basically me just sewing through the bag because my husband had requested the tote. So hope you enjoy the video. See you guys soon. Bye. I'm ready to start the inside pockets on this. And basically what you do is I've measured 2 inches down from the inside pocket. This is from the top of the piece. And I drew my line for my zipper. Yes, there will be a zipper. I'm going to cut down that line, and then I will fold these back so that I can iron them back, so that I can place my zipper through the open hole on this side, and actually then sew the zipper into place, and then I will show you what comes next after that. Now I'm ready to put my pockets in, and what I've done is, this is my pocket, and I've already determined how big I want it, but then I have determined how low on the bag I want the pocket to be placed. Now I changed the way that I was going to do this. I decided I was going to put one pocket on the outside of the bag and one on the inside, because putting both of them inside I would have to do a little more structuring to keep it strong enough for it. So I just felt like this was a better option. So first thing, this is a directional piece. So that means I need to make sure that it is in the correct orientation. This is the top of my bag. This is the top of my zipper. What I have done is I have already marked where I want my zipper, and I have placed a 1/2 inch box, a little shorter than the length of my zipper, and I have divided that in half because this will be the cutting line once you have sewn these together. And the reason you sew them together is because you want to, once they're sewn around the box, you're going to cut this line, then you'll cut here, here, and here through both pieces, and then you will flip your pocket around to where it's on the inside. And we'll get to that in just a little bit, okay? So that is basically what I am working on right now. I don't always measure my, from one side to the other. What I do here is I find the halfway place, put a little notch, find the halfway place here, put a little notch, and then I will match those notches. And you want right sides together. Now this, it seems odd, but that's the way that you do it. And then what I will do is I will actually pin that in place together. And then I will go sew my box. And then I'll show you what happens after that. And you'll do the same. Make sure that you have it cut all the way through. And of course you do want to make sure you've got through all the layers. It's time to change my blade, I believe. Stitch to the stitching, but not through it. Alright, now here's where the fun starts. Now what you want to do is you actually want to take your piece, take it through, on both sides to bring your pocket through. And you want to bring the top up like this and through here. And then you need to take it to the iron, and you're actually going to press that so it's nice and flat and ready for your zipper. I'll show you that once I've done it. Takes a while, you gotta fight with it. Now what I'm gonna use are just some plain zipper tape. You'll notice this is 18 inches. I think the other one is 14. And then I take my zipper over to the iron and press the tape so it's fairly flat, because they jam all that zipper tape in about an 8-inch package. So it means it's all bent up, and it's been that way a long time, it's going to stay. Now, I'm going to do this upside down so you can see. Now this is the inside, and after we get the zipper put in, then we will just sew the pocket closed on the sides, top, and here. But now we have to put the zipper in, and this is what I was talking about, turning it. And sometimes you gotta fight with it. Sometimes you don't get a good end, especially when you're using some thicker interfacing. But basically what we're gonna do is we are going to sew our zipper on the inside, just like this. Now the first thing that I do is, after I've pressed it, I make sure that sucker opens up and closes. There's nothing worse than getting a zipper in your bag and it doesn't work. Alright, now I'm going to use some double-sided tape, and what I'm going to do is place my zipper on that with the double-sided tape to help hold it, and then I will use some hair clips to hold it in place to get it to the sewing machine. Even though this double-sided tape holds it, I want to make sure it doesn't get lost. And the one thing I want to do is I want to avoid getting those metal pieces that are right here on the end of this zipper. So most likely I'm going to move it down a bit, put my zipper in, and you'll have to play with the tape to get it to where it's nice and tight together. But with the tape, it holds it fairly well, and then we'll get to the next part when I get to that point. When I'm putting my zipper tape on, this is double-sided tape. This is paper that'll peel off. The other side is sticky too. Generally what I will do is I will just run my nail down that, a couple of times, and generally that will stick just fine. And generally I just put it right towards the edge. As you can see, that's the zipper. The double-sided tape. It's a 1/4 inch. And I just lay it along the edge. And I do go ahead and cut a little longer than what I need. And then I just place that tape right on the edge of the zipper. Close as I can get it. I'm not worried about it because this washes away when it's washed. You know, even if it's not on there straight, I've got some off the edge or too far onto the tape part. I don't worry about it. And once you have your tape on there, this paper will peel off, and then you have the other side of the tape, which is double stick. Now, I will tell you, I do not take the bottom off yet, because what I like to do, and this is playing with it a little bit, I do want to get my zipper in there. And I want to get it about like that on the very edge. And a lot of it is just playing with it and getting it into place. A little hard to do around the camera. I don't think I like that placement, so I'm going to turn you guys off and find the placement, and then I'll sew it in place. Now I'm ready to sew. I've got it placed, and as you can see, I had some issues right here with my the way that it turned out. I'm not going to worry about it because I know this is just for my husband. Now, if it were for something I was going to sell, I would rip that out and play with it until it was right. But I'm not too worried about that. Now, I am going to go ahead and change to my zipper foot. Although I have done it with that 1/4 inch foot before. Let me get that changed out. And I am leaving a stitch length of, now you will notice I need to move my needle over so that it will clear that bar. And generally I am going to go slow. And I do leave my stitch length, like I said, at 2 millimeters. And as I get close to the zipper hole, just move it. And you do want to go kind of slow. There's no reason to have a lead foot, although I do like having lead foot when I'm in the car traveling. Now, here at the edge, I am going to give it a little extra stitch. Then when I turn, pivot, you will notice I've also clipped my pocket out of the way. I do stitch over it a couple times because that is a high stress area. Now I've left enough of the zipper tape under here that I'm not going to hit those metal pieces. And normally I would use a gray thread, but I'm just not worried about it today. Like I said, the tape washes out. Now here on the back, we have extra zipper tape. So I'm going to cut that off, and it is right at the edge. Have a little more space on this end. And you really don't need to worry about it. Now, if you have extra zipper pulls, you can actually save that tape to make different bags. That's coming in a later video. Yeah, I do keep them. Alright. Zipper works good. And then what we're going to do next is we are going to bring the pocket up to where we're ready to sew. And I do go ahead and pin that. But let me put the other zipper in first on the other side, and then we'll get to this one. We'll show you how to sew up those pockets. Now here's where it's the front of the bag, the zipper's in place. Now I've not trimmed the thread yet because I'm not worried about that. Now we're going to sew the pocket, and what I've done is folded it up into itself. I didn't worry about whether it was right side up, down side up, because that just gets too confusing and most people aren't going to look inside your pockets anyway. So the Mandalorian's upside down, that's okay. And generally I will do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I do start up a little bit. And I do clip those edges together so that I have a clue. Now, honestly, I really do not need all that thread there. It's from the very, very beginning. So then when you turn, what you need to do is make sure that you bring down this part so that you're not sewing it in together. And you guys on the camera are in a little bit of the way, so I'm going to fold this up like a little burrito. And just clip it. Now I'm going to pivot, and now I'm going to decide how much pocket I want. Don't think that I need all that pocket there. That didn't stay very well, did it? So I'm actually just going to sew right along there. And we're going, oops, pivot again. And sew down the other side to close the pocket. And now we'll trim up our threads. Although this is going to be on the inside, but I do like to trim it up a little bit. And I do sometimes go ahead and trim this. And I am going to trim that because that is going to drive me nuts. And I don't know where my good scissors are. And that is just the top of the pocket. So we've got our pocket. It's all sewn in. It's all closed up. And look, I got them upside down. But it's a nice deep pocket. It's one he'll be able to use. And that's that side. Now finish up the other side, and then we'll start putting it together the rest of the way. Now we're ready to sew our straps. If you remember, these were cut 5 inches wide by 25 inches, I believe. Then you fold into the center, and then fold again, and then I put the fusible fleece on the inside so it's a little softer to hold. So we're ready to go, and basically I will start with the leader for these. And I want to sew the open end first. And I sew about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Thread broke. And let's get you up here. With Berninas, you cannot just cut your thread and pull back from the other end because there are sensors on the inside of the machine. Sensor discs. And I see why I did that. And I did forget to tell you that I changed my stitch length to 3 for the straps. basically just do a chain stitching, you know, like I was piecing for a quilt. Just some chain piecing. And I would tell you that if I was selling this bag, I would actually have this to where the Mandalorian was in the correct position. But because I decided at the last minute that I wanted a bag, I had to change the orientation of the handles. And then generally I just turn them over and start on the other side. Then I just clip my handles because they are done for the most part. Set those aside. And now I am going to start the sewing of the bag. So I need to make sure that each piece is in the right position because we are going to sew them right sides together in a little bit of a different manner than normal. And I am just going to clip them together, right sides together. And I will double check to make sure that they are the right way. And then I'll continue with my leader. And I'm going to sew next to that fusible interfacing right there. So let's go. Now I am not going to sew all the way off. I am going to sew down here to the end of my fusible fleece and then trim it. And then we're ready for the next side. So we've got our piece this way, and we want to make sure that they are facing the same direction. And then I will pin those together, clip those together as well. Although I think I'm going to flip this over because this, I'm off camera and I'm just clipping them. And then once again, I'm going to sew it close to the, oops, I've got it upside down. There's a reason I have it upside down. And that is because I'm going to start in. And I am going to sew next to that fusible fleece. Sorry about moving the camera. I'm using my phone to film this portion. Now when I get to the top, I will sew off the end because I have it upside down. And the reason I have it upside down is because the fleece on this side went over a little bit. So now we need to bring the side with the pocket in. And there's our pocket. We need to have it in the correct position. So we are going to clip this into place. And I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll come back in just a minute. I am going to show you what I've done. I have sewn this into basically a square that's big, long 4 pieces. Put the sides on each end. And now I'm going to finish up this one side to connect it, and then we'll get to putting the bottom on. Now because our bottom has 2 layers of Decaville, and that stuff is hard to sew through. You can do it with a leather needle, but there's 2 layers here. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to take and sew these long ends together and each side so that it is a bottom bag. So I'm going to do that off camera because it's a little difficult to film it, just not enough room. Now basically what I wanted to show you was, this is the outer bag, there's the pocket. We sewed all the sides together in one long strip, then joined them together. And then here is the inside of the bag. And there is my Decaville. Now you can, when you're using the Decaville light, actually do an interfacing over the top of it to the material. I just ran out of interfacing. Mine's on its way, should be here today. So just wanted to get the back done. By the time I get the inside done and slip it down in here, it will be fine. So I'm going to sew those together and then we'll do the top part. Alright, I've dropped the lining down in, put pocket on this side, with the outer pocket on the opposite side of the bag. Dropped it in. You see there's lots of pins. I think I folded down about 3/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to go around and do a stitch close to the top, about 1/4 of an inch from the top, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then I'll go from there another 1/4 of an inch around again, and doing quite a bit of stitching where the handles were. The handles, I just placed them 3 inches from the side seam here, so that they, the handles I placed 3 inches from the side seam, and I placed the side that was folded on this side, and the side that is open. Whoops, didn't do that on this one. I'll switch them around. so that I had the open seam here on this side coming in to the side, and I just, kind of guesstimated whether they were about the right length, and when I held them up together, they were the right length, so that worked. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sewn, and then I will let you see the bag when it is finished. Alright, I've dropped the lining down in, put pocket on this side, with the outer pocket on the opposite side of the bag. Dropped it in. You see there's lots of pins. I think I folded down about 3/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to go around and do a stitch close to the top. About 1/4 of an inch from the top, maybe 1/8 of an inch. And then I'll go from there another 1/4 of an inch around again. And, doing quite a bit of stitching where the handles were. The handles, I just placed them 3 inches from the side seam here so that they, the handles I placed 3 inches from the side seam, and I placed the side that was folded on this side and the side that is open. Whoops, didn't do that on this one. Let's switch them around. So that I had the open seam here on this side coming in to the side, and I just, kind of guesstimated whether they were about the right length, and when I held them up together, they were the right length, so that worked. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sewn, and then I will let you see the bag when it is finished. Alright, here is the finished bag, and I think I've got all the strings cut off, but it's a good size bag. It'll hold everything he needs. It has the one pocket on the outside, and then we have the other pocket on the opposite side on the inside, so it's not too heavy. But it's big enough to hold the pillow that he needs to use and a couple of other things, and maybe lunch, if he does lunch. Because Cancer Center does serve patients lunch if they're there during lunch. But you get a choice of cream of mushroom soup, chicken noodle soup, and I think chicken salad sandwich, and a egg salad sandwich, and it's not very tasty, to be honest. And then a pudding, and you don't get your choice of pudding, it's whatever's back there. And this is what I find absolutely interesting, because nutrition is so important for cancer patients. They have no Ensure, no ice cream, no sherbets. The food is not that yummy, although some of the people will eat it just because it's free lunch. But lately, husband has been taking his own. He's been making his own sushi rolls, like a California roll. Sashimi, I think is what it's called. So, anyway, there's the bag. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did a lot of fast forwarding, but you didn't want to watch me for an hour and a half sewing a bag, did you? So anyway, that's it. That's it from SewScraptastic today. This was just a on the fly bag. It's not meant to be a stand-up bag. It is meant to be a soft bag. So that's it. I'll see you again soon. And remember, everybody, choose kindness. Let's love one another. Be good to one another. See you again soon. Bye.